Hey, Heyoka, hey, this is the Peace Dealer, and very, very, very grateful for your patience. It means a lot, and I hope you gain the utmost of quality from this astro report. um, in this astro report, we do see that you have your sun exalted in Aries. And not just that, you're off the heels of a very amazing Chiron return, which in the 10th house you want to really see denote the theme of triumph and overcoming this false sense of opposition and classism and outright racism from others, which I'll break down. We want to start with the fact that not only is your sun exalted in Aries, but you also have your soul mastered in Scorpio, and you and I are a special classification of souls called transformers. So because we have our moon closing quincunx 8 signs away from our sun, you know, your Scorpio moon, Aries sun, I'm Capricorn moon, Gemini sun. This quincunx gives us the quality of Scorpio. I hope that makes sense. Like if you were Aries sun, Aries moon, that'll be Aries. If you were Taurus moon, Aries sun, that would be Taurus. If you were Pisces moon, Aries sun, that'll be 12th house to your sun, Pisces. If you were Aqua moon, Aries sun, Aqua moon would be 11th house to your Aries sun, you'd be Aquarius. So you and I, we both have our moon 8th house to our sun, and so that aspect is Scorpio. We're transformers. Booyah. Okay, not only that, but you also have 29 degrees Saturn in Gemini. Jesus Christ. Especially with Mars here. So you're not someone to be messed with. This is hidden authority because it's in the 12th house. And so this could also denote to having hidden enemies and even law enforcement. I'm not going to insinuate that directly as much as express that as a hypothetical possibility that could really have infinite applications. But it's something that you have not only completed with the Sagittarius Saturn transit, but will really harness more than ever now that the South Node is getting ready to reach your North Node. And the North Node is literally over this energy to really unlock the hidden, private, legendary nature of your karma and authority. So as a Cancer rising, you are a high priestess. You are a cardinal bishop, okay? And this allows you to be a leader. Even though your MC is in the 9th house, okay? Your MC and legacy means that you're going to change the world and how you teach divinity and magic, okay? Outright magic, which makes sense as you are this sacred being, okay, representing Heyoka. So right off the bat, this is already a very super powerful chart. And I feel inclined really to actually just break down the most legendary part of your chart, which is your Gemini and Sagittarius energy. Because the way your unconscious and conscious habits and lifestyle is expressed is not necessarily like any individual that lives in this earth. In fact, there are certain modalities, rules, and ways of living that are foregone in an effort to hold this divine space and to live life more like a god or an alien would than a human. This is even more complicated when we see that Neptune is right on your 6th house, and or still in your 6th house. So if we take into account that you have Mars and Saturn on your south node in Gemini, you come into this lifetime with true karmic authority and the action to enforce that true karmic authority that makes your understanding of truth hidden to you. As a Cancer rising, that can psychically feel into subtle vibrations others may not feel into, thus subtly changing your understanding of the truth. Everything you're directly aware of as an Aries sun, ironically, but something that others won't really understand ever, unless they're woke, or unless they get it, which is super legend. It's not common, okay? It's not even supposed, I'm trying to illustrate that it's not even supposed to be common. It's actually supposed to be very rare. And this is what lends into you being some sort of a divine trickster. Because with this 12th house energy, I almost think of this 12th house energy as like To Catch a Predator or Candid Camera, where, you know, the Neptune North Node energy is showing people the behavior of others, but the Saturn and Mars is like the hidden camera in the 12th, showing the hidden truth of how people act when they don't know they're being watched. And so we want to take that analogy and show how this applies to what you see in everyone's life. You can look into someone's eyes. You can look into someone's life and see aspects of this play out in ways that they don't even know you're aware of directly. And this is more of a superpower than anything. So the way this denotes karmically, because now your karma is directly linked to your destiny. Because you have South Node in the 12th, you don't even have karma in this life. Like you do have karma, obviously, but like your karma is really more for other people. Like there's an individual sense of this that influences you, but you really came into this lifetime to enforce the unconscious, true authority of this karma in ways that straighten out and show other people how better to make their own lifestyle divinely amazing. And this is where there's a tricky nature to Neptune here in the 6th, where Uranus and Neptune are unconventional energies because they're trans-Saturnian. They're after Saturn. If Saturn represents the dictates of a system and the rules that adhere to its structure, well, Uranus is innovative because it breaks these rules in an effort to revolutionize and innovate the rules. And Neptune is trans-Saturnian in the sense that it escapes this shit because it's not even real. And when I say it's not even real, I say that it escapes to the much more primordial essence and dream time quality of the energy beyond what we sense physically. Hence why Saturn is material existence, Uranus is the causal realm, and Neptune is the astral realm. So this relationship and dance between the real truth with Saturn and Gemini and this divine meaning with Neptune and Sag allow you to show other people the future of their paths if they keep with the behavior they keep on. But this is a very difficult energy to interpret because this 12th house energy is unique to you. It's private to you. Only you can really understand it. But it's going to speak of the full authority of truth that you have every authority to act on that most people will never really even know you possess because of this very genius way you keep it hidden. So I did give the analogy of the candid camera, but the 12th house nature of this now applies this existentially to work in every situation and grants you such a high level of authority here that it could even lend into reality warping with just the word and how much integrity you have in your communication ability and truth speaking. Mars on this Saturn adds so much power, strength, and integrity in Gemini now with the mechanism of your language and communication ability. 12th house Gemini is the sacred truth. This is the information that your psychic ability in Cancer gleans and discerns that is now sacred because it's bringing into essence truth that's not even fully seen nor understood, and thus can also enlighten you about the presence of hidden enemies based off of the hindsight logic that allows you to discern and experience with everything you know, subsequently revealing what else can be known. If in a sense where it's like, okay, you know what everything, you know what it is, so you know what it's not because you know what it is. And it's like through context clues, you can discern like, okay, since it's not A, B, or C, it's clearly D. And this is a superpower. Everything I'm saying now is how to make sense of it, but there's an extreme level of this that is very much so a superpower. And I just have to emphasize once again, 26 degrees Uranus in Libra, 27 degrees Pisces, Mercury, 29 degrees Saturn in Gemini. You're a huge deal. You're not just a slouch. Like you're very mastered in your work ethic and your ability to produce truth behind the scenes. But we just want to really express how this is going to be a hidden element of psychological action that you express and display on a mental level. And the opposition to this in the 6th opens up this destiny path for you to change the lifestyles of people. North Node in the 6th usually are people who help people work on their lifestyles. And it's using all the resources of all resources necessary to even help the less fortunate. 12th house Gemini is mental illnesses. And so the work you do can help attack in an exorcism way, in an exorcist way, or with exorcist quality, the banishment of psychological maladies in the mind by showing people in a very abstract, divine way their behavior. Now, the reason why this is difficult is that society has still not recognized Neptune. We are so behind as a society that we still flirt with the existence of Neptune. Neptune is still just relegated to science fiction and fantasy novels when it is a very real metaphysical aspect of our existence. And so with Neptune in your 6th, the work you may provide to others may not be recognized. And this could be very frustrating because you have a lot of high magic psychic ability that could really facilitate the work you do with people who can actually see it. Especially with Neptune in 6, you can see people's behaviors. This grants you clairvoyant visions as well that really goes into how you map out your day. And Neptune in the 6th actually grants a very magical lifestyle. But because of the unconventional nature of it, and because of how the system itself that's more earth ruled can actually undermine the potential of what you can accomplish, this is what's accounted for the myriad of delays that don't necessarily acknowledge or allow you the ability to express your divine abilities as well as you may need to. Now, this is all changing now because Neptune's in Pisces, the North Node's in Gemini. This is unlocking everything that was kind of trapped there. And this is all for the purpose of breaking you out of the spiritual closet and, you know, really allowing the world to accept that you are who you've always said you are, instead of looking at you like you're crazy, as if you're not one of, you know, the greatest gifts to mankind. And I seriously mean that, because having an exalted sun in Aries is not a laughing matter, especially when you have Chiron next to your sun. So you're here to heal the way people really see themselves based on how they treat you. And really, so when I spoke earlier about classism and racism from others, this is Capricorn. Earth represents delineation and groundedness, in that Earth is judgmental, because Earth needs to judge value. Virgo is discriminatory. Virgo discriminates fact from fiction. And so Virgo separates things and breaks things down. And then Capricorn is elitist as fuck. It's classist. And this is where racism comes from, because Capricorn creates the hierarchy. So in and of itself, these are not bad. You need all three of these. But when we, of course, distort the usage of this as a Cancer rising, this is what can have you attract certain people who think that they're too cool for school, in order for you to humble them. And this is where Chiron on Aries comes in, because you humble the ego with such specific quality that your Scorpio moon will kill it if it has to, only for Aries and Chiron to rebuild the ego up in authenticity instead of falsity. Okay, this is where, since 2008, you've been repairing the integrity of relationships you manifest in this life, and the power with which you could hold space for others. It's setting you up for your work as you prepare over the next decade to bring this to the world, which is a fancy way of saying, as over the next decade, Saturn and Jupiter make it to Aries and Taurus in your 10th and 11th house. It's going to be furthering the narrative out towards other people, dealing with other people and your philosophy, to boom, maintaining this influence in your public world. So far we have really illustrated how you're not only super powerful, but you harness a lot of this extra dimensional energy in a way to impact individuals outside the box, force them to think outside the box, and really help them understand themselves outside of what this system has falsely labeled them as. What's even more amazing about this Saturn position is that it trines Uranus and Libra, which at the tail end of Libra opposes your sun to juxtapose a privately unconventional dynamic with which you can trigger genius out of others. I was going to say within others, but out of others. And because of Chiron, this may indirectly happen in negative seeming ways. So it's something to keep in mind. It's usually going to be confrontation, because oppositions represent outside influences that literally oppose you. But interestingly enough, that Uranian opposition will stimulate an out-the-box thinking mentality, or really a super unconventional cause and effect relationship between how you bring your being and how that elicits unconventional reactions from others, which is mainly because of how unconventional you approach other people yourself. Keep this in mind, because with Pluto opposite your sun, similar to Tauruses with Pluto and Scorpio, and Geminis with Pluto and Sag, and Cancers with Pluto and Capricorn, this is going to attract an extreme hatred towards you. If people don't extremely hate you, then people will be extremely obsessed with you and think that you're either super amazing or super weird. This is not your fault. This is just how powerful you are. I want you to think of, I don't know if you're aware of these. I'm sure you've heard of Chris Brown. I don't know if you've heard of 6ix9ine. But Chris Brown is an example of someone who just evoking his name evokes extreme hatred, or just this extreme sense of devotion because they're diehard fans. And I just kind of want to illustrate how this extremeness is not for no reason. A lot of that is driven by Pluto. So The nature of your actions denote extreme genius, innovation, and power. You just want to make sure that that extremeness doesn't flip towards you unnecessarily. So, a lot of these dynamics are going to play out in interpersonal relationships with others, where most of what you're here to do is to juxtapose the falsity of people acting versus who they really are. And this is what lends for you to really, really, really come into a much deeper understanding of really coming into a much greater level of genius through this. And interpersonal communication and relations with other people are very, very important once again, because mainly of how you stimulate transformation, and most often a realization that, you know, certain people are just being fake as hell. And not only that, you know, this sometimes could cause you to, you know, be the recipient of BS from others, because you sometimes may have a very uncomfortable dynamic of reflecting back the lack of authenticity others usually have. It's not really about showing others, hey, you're fake and I'm real. But because we're not in a perfect world, that's usually just what it is. So this is where your Scorpio moon comes in, and I think is one of the best parts of your chart, because you have a supernaturally magical mind. Okay, your ninth house is divinely magical. And so as a Cancer rising, this allows you to see into metaphysical phenomena with not only clear clarity with your mind's ability to process this through imagination and dreams, but then Jupiter bringing this to the highest level in the ninth house with which it rules, the house of God, so giving you a literal peak divine experience and aligning that with your heart, which is unconditionally loving in nature. This is everything now that your soul taps into in its intensity in order to understand this creative dynamic and element with the wisdom necessary to basically just out all these people as freaking frauds and then see how they could be frauds. Now, I'm sorry. I don't want to make this again a whole I'm real and you're fake thing, but that's literally the war for you, because like Pluto and Jupiter and Saturn is in your seventh. And so like if no one else calls out these fakos, you have to. Or let me rephrase that. If you don't call out these fake people, no one else will, because no one even has the ability to do so like you. So I just want to maintain, not only do you have clairvoyant vision with Neptune and Sag, you can see the unseen. This is ridiculous. This is amazing. And this is why you're going to change the way the world sees magic or understands the reason of why. Because you teach why. Okay? Ninth house Pisces are here to teach people why things are the way they are. And of course, everyone will do that different. But I just kind of want to honor the high magical quality of your ninth house. You have vivid dreams, most likely. This would speak of your, when I don't have Pisces or Sag, so when I shut my eyes, it's black. Like I don't have a vivid imagination. I didn't even know people can like see things in colors in movies. I can't do that. But you can, especially being the majority water, fire. I'm more earth, air, but you have a mastery of air, which is remarkable. Now you don't have earth, so none of this energy grounds properly. In fact, you need other people to ground it, which is actually a good thing, because this allows you to focus more of your energy passionately. But this lack of grounding opens up more ability for you to be fully immersed in this more abstract divine quality of energy you possess. So this is what allows you to be receptive to the psychology of character, giving you the vibration of the pure warrior, okay, or pure Scorpio originality Aries. And both of these energies together are very nuclear. granting you a transformation state to extremely augment the power of Aries with this nuclear quality of soul that is pure in nature and connects with the magical nature of your divine Pisces mind to fuel and aid this processing of metaphysical energy beyond conscious understanding with the strength of soul to actually be directed with wisdom to know more how of what you're, seeing. This is where the square with Saturn and Pisces and Mercury could be difficult, because sometimes Saturn in Gemini may want more logic than Mercury and Pisces could allow it. Mercury and Pisces can see a ghost, and then Saturn and Gemini could be like, cannot compute. What the hell is a ghost? And this is that type of balancing that will now allow Saturn and Gemini to subdue logic with this magical, to this magical insight, so that it honors what might be hard to perceive. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed this reading. It was very much so an honor to interpret this for you. Once again, master authority of truth here means you hate lies. So like you're someone who you're someone who honors truth in a very important level. It's just the truth that you experience is unlike what others will constitute as truth, because it's private to you. Okay, it doesn't make it any less true. It just makes it harder to understand, and this constitutes the way you act too. Outside of that, I hope you enjoy this nodal transit. I hope you enjoyed this report. Thank you so very much for your service. As Chiron continues to return, you're going to be applying this wherewithal to express yourself assertively, uncompromisingly, and the purpose of Chiron here in Aries is to remind everyone around the world that you should have no reason to apologize to express yourself in masculine ways. There's been this weird cultural cancel culture and other, such, energy that, the whole notion of canceling stuff that isn't right is good, but it's been distorted to where every little thing gets canceled for no reason. And there has been a huge theme of masculine desire being suppressed and masculine desire being seen as something bad when it is instinctual and it is natural and it is something every man and woman has a right to express. And so Chiron in Aries is reminding everyone, hey, you're not a bad person for desiring something in masculine ways that is overt and expressive. You have every right to, within reason. So outside of that, thank you so much for championing this, because on your sun, you can't escape this lesson. It's who you are, and you're reminding people that it is okay to be themselves and not have to fake whatever just to pretty much gain approval from a culture that doesn't even know them. You stay blessed as always, and until next time.